And see how things are coming along. You can see I've got my beans are still, these guys get hot. My beans are still cooking. I'm going to move this over to a back burner. And start doing the vegetables. So, oh goodness. Take a cast iron skillet. I don't know what's in there. Cast iron skillet, some olive oil, a pretty generous amount because we got a lot of veggies, and just, you don't have to wait for it to get hot, you can just dump all these guys in, and then start to move it around a little bit. Just saute. You just have to make sure that everyone gets a chance. Bless me. Oh, those peppers are spicy. Everyone gets a chance to touch the bottom of the skillet. So we want to make sure that the bottom is always being moved. So you don't just move the stuff around on the top. This drives me crazy. It doesn't do anything. You want to make sure that you get up and underneath, and even a flipping motion to get things rotated, so that when they end up lowering down and getting to the bottom later, the uncooked side will be downward. In order to do this most effectively, I'm going to use a flipper, often referred to as a spatula, though when I understand it, that's actually incorrect. Spatula is long and thin and knife-like, but with no edges. So we'll go ahead and get these guys sauteed, and then in a few we'll go ahead and be able to put the soup together. Hopefully you can hear me over the roar of the vegetables as they're sauteing, but you can see that we're getting closer. There's some liquid coming out of them. That's not just oil at the bottom, that's actually liquid that's coming out of the vegetables as they cook. As I was saying earlier, you really want to make sure that you can get everything exposed to the bottom at some point during the cooking process. You want to keep things moving, because if one thing stays on the bottom for too long, it could burn. So in this case, I don't think anything's going to burn while there's still liquid at the bottom, because the liquid will basically keep it at a certain temperature, and it won't get any hotter than that until all the liquid's gone. It'll keep it at 212, the boiling point. So you don't have to worry about it quite yet. And actually, a lot of the steam coming off from that evaporating liquid will also be cooking the vegetables that are on top of the pile. So moving it around right now isn't nearly as important as it would be if this was a dry kind of saute process. So we're moving things along. One way to get the vegetables cook a little faster, I found, is to sprinkle some salt over top of them. Not only adding flavor, but it will also help draw out some of the moisture, which will then evaporate sooner because it's been drawn out sooner, and then gets your food cooked sooner. So at least that's my belief. It could be completely BS, but so we'll just let these guys go for a while longer. Moving around. Every once in a while, one wants to jump out. There's not much you can do about that. That's why we have brooms, or dogs for that matter, to clean up after you. So let's just give this some more time. Get it to simmer down a little bit. And I actually realized I forgot to put the garlic in. So you can do that now. It's okay if you don't do it first. I know a lot of people, they cook garlic first, they put the garlic in first, and then let it get cooked a little bit before adding other things. I find that when I do that, the garlic ends up burning first, and then you add all the other vegetables, and then it ends up not being what you want. So putting in the garlic now is fine. It will cook and sizzle and steam with everything else, and impart all of its flavor. So nothing to worry about there. You see we're getting pretty close. And moving right along, but we're not quite there yet, so give it another few minutes. So, let's see. However, in the meantime, I've noticed that our black beans are pretty much done. So I'm going to go in here with a fork and just pull out a couple. And you can take a look and see that, actually I'm going to blow on them a little bit. And see how they kind of moved? They kind of open up on their own. That to me means that they're pretty close to being done, because it means the skin is separating from the protein inside. They also, after a blow, they're pretty cool. So you can actually eat them. And you can see that there's no hardness. So it's actually pretty much, I think they're good to go. So I'm going to turn off the fire on these. The thing about making black bean soup is that this liquid is actually part of the soup. Some of it is. So you don't want to just go ahead and dump it all out. You want to keep it, because there's a lot of protein and goodness in there. You do want to take out the habanero peppers, because we will not be needing those. Oh, that was useful. Alright, take this guy out. And take this guy out. They don't really do all that much. I don't know why the recipe says to do that. I guess you could leave those out if you want. Probably kind of wasteful, maybe. So the other thing I'm going to do is I made extra beans, because making beans is sometimes a pain in the butt. So it never hurts to make extra, and then you can keep them around either in the fridge or the freezer, and you can use them next time. Maybe you make tacos or burritos. You can have refried beans with those, and you can bust out your black beans that you have already cooked and pull those out and use them. And you'll see that I have a lot. This is a big pot. This is my biggest pot. I have a lot of beans in here. Probably it cost me $4 to get this many beans, and $4 if you buy cans of beans would probably fill up the pots down here. So look at how many beans I got for so cheap, because I bought them in bulk, dried, and brought them to life myself. So we're getting pretty close here with the vegetables. They're sauteing nicely. Another couple minutes. The next steps will be to mix the cumin and pepper mixture into here, and then combine everything into a soup. So let's check in another couple minutes. Okay, so we're nearly ready for the end of soup. You can see I've got a yogurt container here, one of the large ones. We buy our yogurts in big containers, so you don't have to waste as much packaging. Got two of these that are empty. I put the black beans inside and snap on the lids and put these in the freezer, so I can have some black beans in the near future. Next time I need to use some black beans, I can have them pre-made instead of having to soak and boil and cook and all that nonsense. This way I've got some beans sitting around, ready to use for later. The rest of the beans are over here. Here we go, it's all steamy and delicious. Put these back over here, but probably not back over there, because that burner is still going to be hot from the cooking of the beans earlier, so I don't want to continue to cook these. I have drained all the water out, but I've saved all the water as well. So you can see these vegetables are getting pretty close to done. Got little brown edges on some of them. The onions are translucent. The colors are getting a little more muted. So it's time to finish up here. I'm going to add, and this might be dangerous, but I'm going to add all of this dried powder. The cumin, already cumin and chipotle that I've toasted and ground up. Add these to my vegetables to get the flavor imparted. And this is not as deadly as the original toasting was, because the liquid that's in the vegetables is going to keep the spicy bits from flying up in the air and into my lungs. So, see here, supposedly, we've got these guys. We're keeping it moving, getting everything equally distributed, and it looks like I'm ready to turn this off and add the vegetables and the spices into the beans.